Watch out for that ice.
Yeah, that's right.
Take it easy. Eh? What's up everyone? Making a video on steep roll downs today. This video is for anyone that's experiencing or ever felt a lack of control, lack of confidence, or perhaps a fear or a mental block around steep rolls like this one. Whether it's a rock roll down, a wooden feature, or a steeper bit of trail, this video is going to be for you. So from what I see working as a mountain bike coach, these experiences can often lead to feeling stuck in our progression, not being able to find the flow or enjoy the trails like we'd like to, maybe not able to keep up with some of our riding buds, or kind of worst case, not getting that enjoyment or having fun, probably the whole reason we go out there in the first place. So enough of that. What I want to address today is some common causes and some strategies to help you develop more control, more confidence, and more consistency when you're riding steep rolls. Often I have riders come to me and say, hey Jake, I've got a mental block. And while that can be true, often the cause is not purely mental. Often it falls in the technical sphere. And I'd say probably more than half the time, I'm actually coaching the technical skills of riding to help riders get through some mental blocks they may be having around features like this one. Makes sense, right? Our brain doesn't ride the bike down the trails, our physical body does. So that's what we're going to talk about here, developing that technical skill set. Before we do that, I will just say, a lot of riders watching this are probably like, yeah, okay, been riding for a while, I know how to do a roll down. Well, that's probably true. The harsh truth is that often we as mountain bikers have this vision in our head of how it looks when we're riding. And sometimes the reality of how we're actually riding, how we're actually moving on the bike, doesn't quite align with that. This happens to me all the time. Every time I do some video analysis of my own riding, I realize there's often some areas to improve in that physical skill set or the technical skill set of mountain biking. So let's talk about how we actually do a roll down like this. So we're going to break features like this roll down into three parts. We've got the run in, which we're walking down now. We've got the feature, which you'll see in a second, and then we've got the run out. On the run in, I'm preparing mentally. I'm getting an image going in my head of like, what's it actually going to look like when I ride this, or what does it need to look like? So I'm thinking about three main things. I'm thinking about what does my speed need to be? How can I prepare myself early to get the required momentum for the feature? And that includes slowing down as well, by the way. And then I'm thinking about where do I need to be looking? Where are my visual checkpoints so that I can ensure my vision keeps moving, keeps scanning down the trail. I don't get stuck on any one point. And then lastly, how does my body need to move to set me up for success when I do this feature? Let's walk over here and have a look at this roll down. So quite a steep one. This one's on a trail called Rupert here in Squamish. It's notorious for being a little bit tricky, which is why we're here today. When it comes to setting up for a roll down like this, what we're actually trying to do is adapt. As the bike goes from being on a relatively flat horizontal angle, it's going to move really quickly to be more vertical and then back to horizontal. So some quite harsh movements underneath us. We need to be really strong, really active as a rider to manage that and to stay centered on that vertical plane as the bike does this. So to do that, we're going to set ourselves up for success by hinging at the hips, the elbows, just a little bit at the knees on the setup, around a bike length or half a bike length before we get to the steep bit. As we get to that steep bit and that front wheel starts to roll over, we're going to get ready to lead with the arms. This serves to keep us centered again on that vertical scale as the bike tilts. So we're going to lead with the arms into the compression through the G up and then push, stand up with the legs by pressing down through the feet, straightening the legs. Okay, so we get the setup, hinging at the hips, the elbows. As we go over the edge and get down to the compression, we're going to push or lead with the arms, stand up with the feet. This is going to ensure that we're in a strong, stable, centered position, ready to handle whatever comes next on the run out. Sweet, I'll show you guys what this looks like. So that's out of breath there. So that's the correct technique I just showed you there. What we're going to talk about now is some common errors, because I think most of you understand that technique and you understand the what to do. But this is a couple of places where I commonly see riders getting a little bit hung up, okay? So the first one's really simple, and that one is just not using our full range of movement. So I often describe this range of movement as like a 10 down to a 1. If anyone's done coaching with me, they can remember this. We're kind of looking for those nice square elbows at the bottom. We're hinging our hips and our elbows, a little bit like taking a bow over the bike. If we don't use our full range of movement for a steep roll like this, what's going to happen is we're going to go over the edge and we're going to have limited range of movement in our arms, which means we're not able to stay centered over the bike. The center of our mass will actually move forward and can lead to that horrible feeling like we're going to go over the bars, aka a lack of control. Obviously that leads to some pretty nasty situations, or at the very least a lack of confidence, right? Even having that back wheel lift a little bit can be a bit nerve-wracking if we're not doing that on purpose. The second really common thing I see is that we're setting up by getting low, but we're bending in the wrong places. Okay, so if we're bending our knees more than our hips, more than our elbows, what ends up happening is we start kind of moving back on the bike a little bit, meaning that when we get to the roll down, our center of mass is now back. We don't have much control over the bike and we're kind of following it down like a bit of a passenger. I'm scared just standing it. So if we're too far back on our bike, often this will show up as our butt getting buzzed on the tire as we go over the edge. When we go down there and hit that compression, that force is going to cause our soft bent knees to bend even more, meaning we're even more into the back seat of our bike. We don't have much steering, there's no weight on our front tire, meaning that our front brake doesn't work really well. We're going to feel a bit of a lack of control in that run out. Okay, so that's the second common thing, and the fix there is really easy. We're going to come into the roll with stronger, straighter legs, and we're intentionally going to hinge at the hips and the elbows more. So I often say to my clients, heavy feet, light hands. It's a good cue to achieve this body position. So the third really common error I wanted to talk about in this video is our vision. We've all heard the idea we should be scanning the trail, we should be moving our vision. Sometimes when something intimidates us, when something scares us, we'll put undue focus on the hard bit, aka the compression or the 𝗳𝗹𝗴𝘀𝗵. And for sure, while we want to take a look at that and assess that, we don't want to get stuck there. When our vision gets stuck in that one spot, we end up rounding our back, which means we're not as strong. We also end up pushing into the compression rather than through the compression. So this shows up especially if we've got a rock roll with more of a soft spot at the bottom. Maybe it's really loamy or maybe a little bit muddy. Often it can feel like we get a little bit stuck in that hole. So instead, we're going to get into the habit of, as we're doing that lead, we're going to sweep our vision up and actually look through the compression. This not only ensures we're stronger and we're getting through that compression, it ensures our vision's up, scanning the trail ahead, so that we're ready for whatever comes next after the roll down. So getting back to the confidence piece, once you've dialed in the technical skills, you've got some actual feedback, whether that be from getting a buddy to film you or from getting some professional advice from a coach like myself, you can then get into the mental piece. You can add some mental strategies on top to help work through any deep-seated mental blocks that may be there, or just to help you reach your version of peak performance more often. So we can look to strategies like breath work, visualization, power words, maybe even positive stimulus anchoring. All of this stuff laid on top of good technique can really help you take your ride into the next level. But, and this is a but I like to stress, all of that stuff is only helpful and only actually safe to teach you if you can ride the piece of terrain you're trying to ride properly, safely, and in control. So the technical skill set comes first, and although we start weaving in some mental skills along the way, they really pay dividends once we stack them on top of a solid foundation of technical skills. To summarize here, set yourself up for success for steep rolls like this by ensuring you've practiced the technique I just led you through on some easier features first. In time, these experiences will lead to increased self-belief and increased confidence that will allow you to start trying slightly harder features and slightly harder features until you get to ones like this that may be currently your nemesis. So that technique, one last time, hinge at the hips to set up. We're leading with the arms as we swoop up the vision and then extending the legs into the compression. That's going to ensure that we stay centered, stay strong, stay in control, and over time, it's going to start compounding our confidence. If you've got any questions about this video, about this technique or anything else, feel free to give me a shout over in our Mental About Mountain Biking community on Discord. As well as that, if you're the type of rider that's looking to take your riding to the next level and you're looking to speed up that process significantly by getting some professional help, feel free to reach out and we can talk about how our Squamish coaching packages can help get you there. Cheers guys, I'll see you on the next one.